guys, SashaJay here. Welcome back to my channel and a new series that I've been wanting to do on this channel for a very long time, and it's gonna be called Let's Talk, and it's gonna be about anything and everything, from dating, from sex, relationships, advice topics, pregnancy, being a mom, just literally anything that you can think of. On this series, I want to be very honest and transparent and helpful as I can be. Like I said in the other intro to the series, which I'll leave right here, I've been really wanting to do this for a long time, and it just took a long time because we're bouncing from place to place and nothing was really consistent. But now that I can be consistent, I really just want to do the series to help people. I'm 31 years old. I can't believe I'm even saying that. I'll actually be 32 in September. I have so much experience. I'm bisexual. I've experienced bullying. I've been cheated on in relationships. I've been the cheater in relationships, and I've been through a lot, verbal abuse and mental abuse, and just loved ones dying, my dad passing away, my brother's passing away. I feel like I have a lot of experience under my belt, and I feel like I'm strong from every situation that I've been through, and I really just kind of want to be that big sister or friend, that I just really want to be here and give advice and help. Which leads us to today's first video in the series, and it's going to be let's talk about mental and emotional abuse. And verbal abuse is abuse, and just talking about this is just making me really anxious, and I've been really wanting to open up and talk about my experience for a very long time. And yeah, so let's just get started. So I was in a relationship for, I want to say, almost 8 years, and I went through a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of mental abuse, a lot of emotional abuse with that relationship. And I never could tell family members because, for one, you're just scared, first of all. Two, it took me a long time to realize what was even going on. Okay, so I'm gonna read it off of Wikipedia. Verbal abuse is the act of forcefully criticizing, insulting, or denouncing another person, characterized by underlying anger and hostility. So that is verbal abuse. And like I said, verbal abuse is abuse. So I couldn't come out to family members. For one, I was scared, and like I said, I didn't start realizing what it was until maybe our, I want to say the 6th year of our relationship. And some examples of this that I hope you look out for in your own relationship. There are flags everywhere in my relationship, and I was too blinded by love, if you will, to even conceive what was going on. And one of the first incidents, and just to let you guys know, I'm gonna be very honest, okay? So, and there's some graphic stuff, so if this isn't your type of video, then stay tuned to my next one. But my first one is we moved in together in an apartment, and I thought it would be a good idea to get a cat because obviously I'm a very big animal lover, and I thought he was too. So anyways, we get a cat, and at first things are going cool. The cat's good, it's behaving. First of all, let me tell you, it's a kitten, and it's not a kitten. It's maybe I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 months. So it's not a baby kitten, but it's still young. It's learning. Well, I want to say maybe after a month of us having it, we had a bar, like all apartments usually do, and I think I had a vase of water or a cup of water, but it was water just chilling on the bar, and the cat jumps up there and knocks down the water. I believe I was at work at the time. I come home and my cat is pretty much almost dead on the living room floor. And I'm thinking, what the heck happened? Like, what is going on? He's gone, of course. So I call him and I'm like, what happened to the cat? And he's like, oh, the cat jumped on the bar and knocked down the water, so I teached it a lesson. And I just, things don't click in your head when you're in love, or when you think you're in love. They just don't. And obviously I was like, okay, that's not okay. Like, you don't do that to animals. First of all, it was just a cup of water. So something like, it hit my stomach, obviously. And I was like, okay. I was like, something's wrong. Like, that's not okay. The cat was fine. Like, I kind of made it drink water, and I don't really want to talk about it. But anyway, the cat was fine. He came home later that day, was trying to be all cute with it and be like, I'm sorry, blah, 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 like they always say. And I knew I had to take the cat back to the pound, because I was like, I can't have this poor cat passing away on my conscience if something like this happens again. So as much as I wanted a pet and I wanted to keep it, and you know, for my own anxiety issues, I was like, I have to save this cat. And for me to, the only way for me to think at that time was to just take it back to the shelter. So I took it back to the shelter. They didn't ask any questions. I don't know if it was the way I looked or what, but they took it back, no questions asked. And I called back later, I think maybe a couple weeks after I dropped it off, and he did get adopted. So he's a healthy cat, adopted, loved, and that just made my stomach very happy. But then the flags kept coming. So little incidents would always happen throughout the relationship, like just random things. I remember one time we were going somewhere and we needed a GPS, and I'm sorry, but even with the GPS, I am horrible with directions, and that's nobody's fault. Like, we're not all great at something, you know. Anyway, he was asking me what's the next turn. So I remember telling him, I think it was a right, but the way the GPS was, it was actually a left. And I told him right, and then we ended up getting lost, and he's like, are you stupid? Like, you're fucking stupid. You have the GPS right there. How dumb are you? And it just went on and on and on. He's like, I'll just do it myself. And then it's just like, you start thinking like, are you dumb? Or like, okay, well, it was my fault, I guess. I read it wrong, you know? And then you just start taking the blame on yourself. And other things would be at our apartment, and eventually we ended up getting a house, not together. I self-consciously made the decision to not put my name on the lease, and I did that on purpose because I knew eventually I was gonna leave. But anyway, so throughout the apartment and house, like both places we were at, anything would piss him off. Anything little would piss him off. I was always walking around eggshells. I couldn't make any noises while he was sleeping because I was scared he was gonna wake up and yell at me, and just other things like that. I remember I kind of blacked out a lot of the relationship. I remember we had dogs. Again, I don't know why I brought pets into this, but he wanted dogs. I had no say. So we had dogs, and I think the dog, I don't know if it chewed something or something replaceable, something we could easily replace. And I would always stand in between him and the dogs. And he would get mad and he would throw stuff, like tantrums, but he would literally physically throw stuff. So of course you have balls lying around, right? Because you have dogs. He got the tennis ball from the hallway and chucked it in the living room and almost broke our glass coffee table. And he did that often. He threw a lot of stuff, often. I'll get back to that later. Another thing that he used to do was yell at me when I was at work. So I'd be at work and a retail environment, and I had a friend and she became one of the most best friends I could ever have in my life. And I'll call her Bestie Cakes for her alias sake. And she was with me literally every step of this relationship. She was my therapist, and like literally my therapist. And I remember one time, we weren't even friends yet. I think we just started working together and like co-workers. And we had to stay at this desk, so we were at like close proximity. And I remember he called me and I was like, hey, I'm gonna take this call real quick. Like, yeah, go ahead. So obviously I take the call and all I hear is yelling. I don't know what I did. I don't even remember. All I hear is yelling. And I mean yelling loud, and I don't even have my phone up. It's yelling, and she just looked at me and I started crying. And she's like, and I just remember putting the phone like this, and I would let him yell. I would just let him yell and just not even listen. And everyone at that store knew how he was. Like, so when he came in, no one even wanted to talk to me with him because they knew how he was. And eventually, you know, we became friends, and she would kind of help me through it, and I would talk to her nonstop. And if you're going through something like this, you need that friend. It doesn't have to be a family member. If you're too scared, you have to confide in somebody, because if you're in this all alone, it's gonna be way worse than it already is. So anyway, I remember she even took the phone and she hung up on him. she just hung up on him, and I was like, oh my God, he's gonna kill me. Like, I literally thought that when I go home I'm gonna die because I hung up on him, and I didn't even hang up on him. So I remember like being like, oh yeah, thanks, I appreciate it, and then going to the bathroom and texting him and be like, oh, I had to go, I'm sorry, like, oh, I'm sorry for whatever I did. And anyway, that was just one more incident. Another incident was he'd yell at me in front of our friends, and we had a close group of friends, and there was like always like maybe 5 of us, I think. And I was the only girl in the group usually that would always go, because I used to hang out with the guys. I was part of the guys, and so I'd always be there. And we were going to this trip, I think all of us, like our significant others, our friends, like to Dana Point. And we didn't even get there yet. Like, we were already in the driveway. Something happened. We took a tour of the house, I think, and somebody said something. One of the friends said something. He took it the wrong way. He's like, get your stuff, we're leaving, in a more vulgar manner. And I remember not wanting to go. I didn't want to go. I was like, now I have to be stuck with him in a car after he got mad. Like, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. And at that time, I think they knew that he was getting more aggressive, but I don't think they knew how to help me. So I didn't blame them for not stepping in, because obviously they're his friend too, and it sucks because we were all friends before any of us got together, and I feel like they wanted to help. I just feel like they didn't know how. And anyway, I remember that drive back home. I think we ended up going back later, so we just ended up driving halfway or something. But he was slamming the steering wheel the whole way there. He was cussing and steering, like slamming the wheel with his fist and driving recklessly. And I'm just like, I'm gonna die in this car. Like, anytime he'd get mad in the car, he'd always punch it. And I'm just like, oh my God, like the freaking airbag's gonna blow in the face and we're gonna die. Or it's just, it's another incident. Another incident is I remember having dinner with one of my girlfriends, and we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, I think, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if I was late or if I didn't text him or if I didn't call him. I don't know what happened, but anyway, he was yelling at me in the parking lot. He went there, he was in the parking lot, and we were talking, and then he started yelling at me again, and I was, you know, being dumb. Oh, I'm sorry, you know, it's my fault, blah blah blah. And then my friend comes in. She is like, not even exaggerating, I love you, you're watching this. It's like, she's 5 feet, I'm 5'3", she has to be 4 feet something. Bravest girl I know. She was the other one that was with me throughout this. There was 2 girls that I really confided in, and obviously I'm not gonna say their names, but yeah, they were my rocks through this. And she got up in his face and she cussed him out and said, "What are you doing? This girl is awesome. Why are you treating her like this?" And I know my ex at the time wasn't gonna do nothing because her boyfriend was like 6 feet something. So like he could have easily squashed him like a bug. But it was funny because she stepped in. You know, I had my 2 girls always step in for me, always. And like I said, it didn't start hitting me until about the sixth year of us together. So my epiphany, all of this is going down through the 6 years. Oh well, the 8 years. I left just before we hit our 8 year, and so I want to say towards the middle of the 7 years. So the 7th year, the middle before I left. That's when I kind of had my epiphany. We went to Yard House with our friends, and I don't know if I wasn't feeling good or something. We were arguing already, of course, on the way there, and I didn't want to go. I don't remember wanting to go. And we go there, everybody already knows we're fighting, and it's always so uncomfortable when you're that couple that fights. Don't be that couple that fights, man. Just hang out with your friends and have a good time. And if you're the couple that fights, it just makes everything so awkward. So I remember we went into Buffalo Wild Wings, and I didn't want to sit next to him, so I wanted to sit at the other end of the table, and he was like, "No, you're sitting next to me." So everybody scooted over. And then I remember wanting to sit on the edge too, because I was like, well, if I want to go to the bathroom, I'd rather sit on the edge so that way I could just, you know, not move people and let me just get up and go to the bathroom. And I don't even know, I think he got mad about that too. So then he sat down first, and then I sat down, and as soon as I sat down, he looked at me and he's like, "I thought so." And something just clicked. Like, I don't know what it was, but I looked at him dead, excuse my language, ass in the face, and I said, "Fuck you," in front of everybody. So that was one of my epiphanies. The other one was like the one that really was like, okay, I gotta go. So like I told you, we had dogs. So our husky is like a magician. They were crate trained, and because our backyard at the time wasn't secure to leave them alone when we went to go work. So we crate trained our dogs, and we went somewhere, I think we went grocery shopping, and we came back and found out that our husky was like stuck in the crate. So obviously, and we had cameras in the house, and we saw him trying to escape. And to me, it's like, a dog's a dog, as long as he's not hurt and, you know, nothing is damaged. Like, you know, he's gonna try to get out. They're not gonna want to be in the crate for a long time, especially Siberian Huskies. So he gets really mad. He's like, "Why can't you stay in the crate?" I think that was the only reason why he was mad. I don't know if something else was mad. That whole day was just like, ugh, to me. But he got really upset, and I remember he was gonna punch the dog. He was gonna hit him, but I know how he is, and I know he wasn't gonna, like, you know, you're never supposed to hit animals in the first place. So I was already like, okay, this is not gonna be good. So the dog was still in the crate, and he was walking towards the crate with his hand in the fist. So I remember stepping in between the crate and him, and like where the gate opens. I was like trying to put myself in the crate, and I remember stepping like that and getting the gate and like putting it, like kind of wedging that in between me and him. I don't know why. I was thinking like maybe that'd be helpful or something. And I remember he went like this close to me. I know you can't see, but he was close to my face, and he was like, "Move." And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Move." And I was like, "No." And then he looked at me, and I stood my ground, and either I was gonna get hit or knocked out or what, but like I wasn't gonna move. I already made this mistake with one animal and I wasn't gonna make it again, even if that meant me getting hit. And I remember him just kind of like, so he's facing me, right? He gets his like arm, his shoulder or something, and like kind of just shoves me. And then he just walks off because he was mad. And I remember in that instant, I was like, I have to go. I have to leave. So a lot of things happened to that point. I knew as much as I wanted to stay for my dogs, those were the only reasons why I stayed as long as I did stay. And that's when I realized, if he's so willing to hit the dogs and be aggressive with that, then what's not to keep him from hitting me in the future? And I always felt he was so close to it many times, and that was the closest I've ever felt to him doing that. And that's when I seriously just like, it snapped in my head, like, this isn't love. I love him and I keep forgiving him for these things, and he doesn't even say sorry. And I was reading some of the abuse stuff, and they're saying how their significant others would always come back and be like, I'm sorry, but he would never even say sorry. I would always be the one to say sorry. So that's when it really hit me, like, hey, I need to go, and I need to go now. So I remember, I want to say maybe it took me a month, and I was saving money on the side. I was working a lot, and I knew I was leaving. And of course he was like more the financial one, like he was making more than me and stuff like that. But I saved up money, and I remember taking my car at the time and shoving it with as much stuff as I could fit. I didn't want to come back. And it sucks because I left a lot of stuff behind. Like, I left a lot of stuff behind. And I just took as much stuff that could fit in the car, the stuff that meant the most to me. And I remember just looking around the house and like crying, because, you know, that was my home for like 6 years, no matter how stressful it was. And then at the same time I was crying because I was leaving my dogs behind because I couldn't take them. And that was the most heartbreaking, like heart-wrenching part to me, was I couldn't take my babies with me. But in that situation, it's like you have to save yourself, like you need to get out. So anyway, I remember looking around and I was like, okay, like I have to do this, like I need to do this. And you know, once I made that step out the door, I was like, I can't come back. Like you can't go back. And I left, and I remember going to my dad's. And now my dad at the time, my dad passed away recently in January. I think you guys know that. And I couldn't tell him anything because he liked my ex a lot. And my dad is the type of, he's a dad. Let's just say that. He's a dad. So if he finds out his little princess, I was his baby, I was, you know, was getting abused, what do you think the dad's gonna do? You know, my dad was in particularly not shy of letting you know how he felt. So he probably would have drove over there and whooped his ass. Like he would have killed him, like any dad would do. So I couldn't tell anybody, you know, I couldn't tell anybody. And so I just told him that, you know, I just couldn't be there anymore. And my dad, of course, being a dad, took me in, and I stayed there. And it was one of the worst years after that. And it haunts you. It still haunts me to this day. And some things you don't get over it, and you do have a form of PTSD because it was so traumatic. It just sticks with you. And I remember the guy I started dating after him, like the rebound guy, if you will. I remember we were going to the movies, and I remember I had the tickets, and I think he went to go get food. And I told him, you know how theaters have well, not all theaters, but the theaters we're at, one side has a whole set of numbers and then the other side has another set of numbers, or theaters. And I told him, I think the right side, and we ended up going right in front of the theater. And he looked up and he's like, this isn't our theater. And I was like, I just stared up and I froze. Like I froze and I broke down. Like I was crying, like sobbing. And he looked at me and he's like, why are you crying? And I'm like, because I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting to get yelled at. I'm waiting to be called stupid, and I'm waiting to be called a moron and dumb. And I just look at him and I'm like, aren't you gonna yell at me? And he goes, why? He's like, why would I do that? And then I really thought, like, what is wrong with me? And then I told him like what happened, and like kind of like I was just, you know, memories, flashbacks were coming back. And I remember he just looked at me and was like, who would do that? And then in my head I was like, who would do that? It was something so simple, like a simple mistake. And he was like, it's okay. Like, he's like, it's no big deal, it's just that way. And it hit me, and it really made me think, like, this is gonna stick with me for a long time. And I remember talking to my best friend and Bestie Cakes, and like I said, she was my rock, she was my therapist, literally the whole relationship. Till this day, she is my therapist. And she helped me get through it, and I just, you need that person. So all in all, if you are in a relationship where you feel stuck because financially he's supporting you or she's supporting you, and I couldn't even imagine having kids with him. I think if I even had a kid, I would have been out the door the first time something happened. Like, I would have not put my kid through that, no matter how scared I was to leave. Like, my kid is my everything, and you know, they come first. But I'm just glad I didn't have kids with him. And but just look out for the flags. Look out for the flags before they become physical with you. And if they do become physical with you, I know it's scary. It's scary to leave, and it's scary to get out. And I know, because of a whole different situation with my mom, was getting physically abused. And I remember helping her get out of that relationship. Like, I physically went to grab her and take her because she did not want to leave. And I'm like, first of all, no one's doing this to my mom. And second of all, I realized I was in it, also in a relationship, but mentally. And when I saw my mom, I promised myself I would never, ever let anybody touch me in that way. I would never let anybody hit me. I would never let anybody put their hands on me. And I kept that promise. So now, instead of being so shy and so quiet, I say what's on my mind, and now I speak up and stuff like that. And I wish it's something that I learned a long time ago. But you just have to get through it. Like, get out, seek help, and talk to people. It doesn't have to be family members, but talk to someone that you can trust, that you can confide in. And I hope one day you do get the courage to get out. And it's scary. And that day, me walking out of that house was the most, like, frightening day of my life. Like, it really was. And it still hits me to this day. I still think of things every day. I think of my dogs every day, or the dogs, and I think of things like that happened, and that happened in my current relationship, and my like, it would never happen. Like, it's just, they're so opposite, and it's crazy because I'm like, just the same thing. Like, I'd say something wrong, and then my boyfriend would look at me and be like, are you okay? When really I'm just waiting for the barrage of like insults, and they don't come. So it's just, you get flashes, and it just sucks, man. So just look out for the flags. Find someone you can confide in, and seek help. There's professional help out there. You can remain anonymous. I'm gonna leave links below, and just get the help that you need, and try to get out. Try to get the courage. Try to find your reason, anything, to get out and save yourself. So anyway, I just wanted to share my experience with you, and I hope I can help anybody. Anybody just take the first step to get out of a mentally and emotionally abusive relationship. And for those of you who aren't in one, don't judge a relationship, because you don't know what happens behind closed doors. And that couple may seem happy, or they could be fighting all the time, and if you're friends with that person, ask them. Ask them if everything's okay when they're alone. And just reach out to them, because that can mean the world to that person. If my friends would have reached out to me, I think that would have made me, probably would have helped me more. But I mean, it's not their fault, you know. But if you see it and you're around it, just ask if they're okay. And, you know, just be mindful. Every relationship is different. You don't know what happens behind closed doors. And, you know, it's a scary thing to go through. So that is my experience. I hope I can help anybody out there. And yeah. All right, guys, if you have any suggestions of topics that you would like me to talk about, no topic is off the table. I'm going to be very open and very transparent, and just anything and everything, leave comments below. If you want to leave a suggestion but you want to remain anonymous, so you don't want to leave a comment, go to my Instagram. I'll leave it right here, and DM me, and I'll bring up the topic, obviously without bringing up anyone's name. So if you want to bring up topics and suggestions, I'd greatly appreciate it. Sorry if the camera looks different. I had to switch cameras because the battery died. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please leave suggestions or comments of what you want to see on the next Let's Talk video. I was really scared to share this video, and I didn't really know how to feel about it, but I kept thinking about it for a very long time, and I'm glad I did it. And like I said, I really hope I can help somebody out there. So thank you for watching, guys. Stay tuned to my next video, and all the other videos after that. Don't forget to follow on Instagram, and please subscribe. Subscribing helps a lot. Please give a thumbs up, please subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you next time.